Innovation. What is innovation and why should you even care? Imagine this scenario. You book a trip to explore the Amazon rainforest with your family. You rent an SUV and decide to tour the forest around using a GPS on your phone. Suddenly, your phone dies and you're lost. You have just the right amount of fuel to go back home, but you don't know where you're going. Could innovation be used to guide yourselves home? Perhaps. By the end of this talk, I will make sure that you understand that everyone can innovate and everyone should innovate. Innovation is the formation of a new idea in your brain. It is the firing of neurons in a synchronous novel pattern. It is the only way humankind can keep progressing. I believe that everyone listening to me right now, especially young children, no matter the grades you get in school, the country you're from, or what the people tell you around you, you are an innovator. Let me tell you my story. From a young age, I started experimenting with many science-based creations, like building different types of robots and thinking of novel ways to solve even the most minute problems in our world. This is an image of me 5 years ago, at my sixth grade science fair, presenting my first innovation, the two-in-one pen pencil. While this may seem irrelevant on the global level, this was the start of my innovation journey. This was the start of a journey filled with growth, persistence, and empathy. This irrelevant project turned out to be the most relevant thing in my life. How, you may ask? Well, you see, through this simple project, my middle school self learned to look for problems around me that can be solved. From a small writing utensil, I went on to develop a smart garden hose, then a smart robocart, and on and on. And then after 2 years, I couldn't recognize myself. From an average sixth grade science fair project, I went on to experiment with microcontrollers and sensors. But soon, tragedy struck. Due to a family member being sick, my family and I visited India and regularly had to visit a hospital. After a couple of visits, my mom got sick, and after consulting with doctors, we came to know that she had received an infection from the visits to the hospitals. My mom suffered 3 nights fighting this hospital-acquired infection, and there was only one thing on my mind. Why do infections spread in hospitals? Why do infections spread in hospitals? And why do infections spread in hospitals? I was filled with passion to solve this problem so nobody else had to suffer like my mother. At the end of the day, my mother came out on top of this infection, but after consulting with doctors, nurses, and staff, I realized that more than 100,000 people each year don't. More than 100,000 people die. This was a life-changing experience for me. Empathy and compassion towards millions of people who suffer from these infections every day, and my innovation mindset kicked in. After further research, I learned that poor hand hygiene compliance was the primary reason for the spreading of these infections, and that the World Health Organization has stipulated very strict hand hygiene guidelines for hospitals, but currently there are no effective tools employed in hospitals to monitor and enforce hand hygiene compliance. I focused on developing a tool to monitor and enforce hand hygiene compliance in hospitals, all in all to reduce rates of hospital-acquired infections. So for the past 2 years, I've been working on a tool, HygieneNet. It is based on deep learning AI algorithms, sensor, and microcontroller modules located all throughout a hospital that track and enforce staff hand hygiene compliance. HygieneNet has been recognized on the national and international level at over 20 competitions, conferences, and fairs. If I never participated in my sixth grade science fair, I would have never innovated. I would have never developed a solution to mitigate hospital-acquired infections. If I can innovate, anyone among us can innovate. I believe innovation happens through a simple 3-step process: identifying a problem, analyzing the problem, and designing a solution for the problem. While you may think this sounds too easy to be true, you're wrong. I'm the living proof and credibility of this process. So let's get back to the 3 steps. Step 1, identify a problem. In our Amazon rainforest analogy, you're lost, you don't have a GPS anymore, and you don't know how to get home. These are our problems. Great. Now let's move on to step 2, analyze the problem. Let's look at the different parts and relationships between variables. Which direction was your home in? Do you have a cup, needle, pencil, magnet? Do you have a phone charger? Can you look at the car's wheel tracks on the dirt? Nobody said innovation can't be easy. There we go. We can move on to step 3. After we analyze the problem and brainstorm solutions, all we have to do is implement solutions. Perhaps maybe you've already started thinking of ways to solve this problem. Perhaps you have probably started innovating. So I won't tell you how to solve this problem, and I'll leave that up to you. So please find at least 5 creative ways to solve it. I believe big ideas start from small things and add up exponentially. But you should always be prepared for many challenges and not give up on initial failure. Failure is just a part of the process for any innovation, and there are going to be times when you feel overwhelmed and unsure if you can reach your goal. But at such times, I think you should not let your emotions hold you back. You should stay positive, learn from your mistakes, and just keep working hard, and you will reach your goal. Keep questioning, keep thinking, and remember that anyone can innovate. Stay healthy, and most importantly, during this COVID-19 pandemic, my request and advice for everyone is to wash their hands and sanitize their hands frequently. We all know that the coronavirus is at a spike once again, and proper hand hygiene compliance is the best method for combating it. Clean hands save lives, so let us make hand hygiene a priority. Thank you so much.